appreciate the intro. What's up, y'all? What's up? Damn, that's way more people than I had expected. Oh my god. Damn, thank you guys so much, man. This is like unreal. Yeah. Look at this guy, man. You'll stand up, stand up. That is incredible. Did anyone travel here, like outside of New York? Wow. Baltimore? Wow. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay. Kansas City. Amazing. But I want to tell you guys why we're here in the first place. Like, I didn't start KTO Live in New York to like make money. It's free, or it's a free event. I started it because when I was growing up and in high school, like, there weren't things like this for me to go to, you know? There's a point in people's life when they're like 20 years old, 21, when they don't know what they want to do, and it's interesting, but it's also kind of scary, right? Because you don't know what your career is going to be. And in my opinion, the best way to go about it is like getting advice with someone who's done it, right? Someone who has made the mistakes, and I have made all the mistakes, right? Like, I have learned all the gems, I've learned what's wrong, and I want to share my experience with you guys. There's two overarching themes to this talk that I'm going to give, and that's that, one, you don't need to rely on anybody to become successful. Like, do not rely on any other company, any artist, just anyone else, right? And the second thing is, I just want to talk about how important it is to have leverage in this industry. I'll get more into that a bit later, but you know, growing up in high school, my dream was never to like run my own media outlet. Never in the plans. I wanted to be a journalist and a host for Complex. Like, that was my dream, you know? You guys remember like, they had like Emily Oberg and Jinx, Speedy Mormon on Complex, yeah. And you're like, I want to do that. Like, that's the job I want to do, right? So that was me. And I figured that the way to get there was that I had to do my own interviews. Like, I had to have my own resume and like eventually work my way up, right? You got to intern, got to be at a radio station, like all these things. My passion was storytelling. And I started this podcast in high school, and it's kind of lame. It was called Convos with Arshan, right? It was like well before KTO. And I was like, I'm gonna interview like just anyone that I can so I can get some experience. So I would interview like my math teacher, random real estate agents. And this one day I remember like I was walking during lunchtime, and my like friend came up to me and he's like, bro, it's so dope that you're doing this podcast even though like everyone at the lunch table makes fun of me. I'm like, what? Like, I didn't know people were making fun of me, and it kind of like fueled me a little bit because I'm like, I gotta show them, right? I was like, I'm gonna interview like people I actually care about. So I went on the internet, and I was like hustling through the internet. I was hitting up every artist and manager that came to my city, like when they were on tour, and I ended up getting one interview with Smooky Margielaa from the ASAP Mob. You guys know? Yeah. You guys know this movie? I think he's like locked up right now, but yeah, pretty Smooky. I got that interview somehow, I don't know how, and I made sure it was incredible. He was like 7 hours late, by the way. That's like a story I've heard every day. I made sure it was incredible. I would use each interview to like get the next one, right? So I did Smooky, and then I got Murder Beats through that. And then through Murder Beats, I think Zaytoven was my third interview. And I kept doing this, and eventually I had like this resume of like really cool interviews. At that point I was like, you know what, let me go apply for like an internship. I did so much cool stuff. And I want to show you guys something. I actually applied for Genius for like this internship they had. And I made this video. I look so different in it, so just don't judge me.
My name is Arshan Jawaid, and I'm a journalist from Vancouver, Canada. Since I love storytelling, I run my own video interview series with hip-hop artists and athletes. My role is to do all the communication with management to book the artists, and bring them to the shooting location where I direct my camera team and pull out a dope interview. My most memorable interview was right here with ASAP Mob member Smooky Margielaa. You can catch me in my room editing and publishing each video, while casually bumping to 21 Savage. I think I fit the role best as artist relations intern because I really enjoy keeping a keen eye out for new artists and just collaborating with them in general. So I really hope I get chosen and look forward to learning more at Genius.
So yeah, that was my Genius application video. And I don't know how I look older than that. I was like 5 years ago. But that was my Genius application video, and there's bad news because I didn't even get a response at all. I made one for Genius, I made one for Complex, I made one for like 6 different media outlets. It took me a long time, and 0 response from any of them. So I was like, all right, like I get it, like these are like bigger outlets, like maybe they don't want me as their intern. So I applied to like the smallest of the smallest media outlets, and bro, I couldn't even get like a 5-minute meeting with these people, A few weeks later, I was watching like XXL interviews, or like their freestyles, and I was like, hip hop is getting so much younger, like not even just the artists. Do you guys remember when there was like that shift and it became like really young artists, right? It was like the artists, the producers, the creatives. Look at these creatives like Cole Bennett, for example. Like, bro, he's 21. He has this whole ass like empire that he built, right? I was like, if he can do it, like, so can I. I was like, I don't need to work at Complex. I want to build my own complex. I'll employ myself as the host. And that's when I started Kids Take Over. It was a music platform to show other young creatives that you can do it on your own. I kept putting out these interviews every single week. I made content that was showing the journey as well. Like, I don't know if you guys are like OG KTO fans, but I would make a lot of videos where I would show like the L's, Yeah, you guys remember?
One video was like, yo, I'm gonna quit this shit. I remember that video. I commented, I was just like, you can't, there's no way.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. No, I vividly remember that. But no, I had like videos where I would also go to LA and have like $500 to my name and be like, all right, I'm gonna buy a flight with this. I'm gonna buy like the most trap house Airbnb, and I'm gonna thug it out, and I'm gonna get my interviews, right? And that's when you guys saw a lot of cool interviews happen, like Ken Carson interview and all that. It's like, I didn't have any money, bro. I would be in like, literally, the trap house. It wasn't a good time, but I was getting all these interviews, right? Eventually, I got hit up by the first like label person. His name is Justin Grant from Atlantic Records, and I don't think he could be here today, but he hit me up. He's like, bro, like, you don't need to like hustle through the internet and DM all these managers. Like, if you want interviews with our artists, just let me know and I'll give it to you. And boom, I started getting bigger interviews, and I started to develop this knack for interviewing or just like finding artists early, before they blow up. So yes, while I got these mainstream artists like Pierre Bourne or Glock, I would then start getting like the Ken Carsons and the Sofaygos before they were Ken Carson and Sofaygo. And that's sort of the thing that became like what's so valuable about KTO. People would come to me to find out like what's cool. The numbers grew, and we started making money, and at that point I had to take off school because it was just like way too much. I'm pursuing a communications degree, which is like useless, to be honest. But I had to take it off. I will finish my degree because I know my mom's probably gonna watch this in a couple of days, and she'll be like, you told me you're gonna get your degree. I will. But yeah, for now, it's not the move. But yeah, these last few years were some of the most absolute, like, rewarding times of my life. I've gotten to do what I love every single day as my job. And I'm like sitting around these people that I never thought I would be around. Like the moment it really, really hit me was, I think like end of last year, I got a DM from 40, like OVO 40. And he was like, he gave me an address. He was like, yo, come to this. And in my mind, I'm like, this gotta be fake. Like, obviously it's fake, right? I booked the flight to Toronto, and I pulled up, and kid you not, like it's the OVO studio. I'm like, there's no way. It was like all black, barricaded up. I walk in, and he's like, Arshan, like, it's so great to see you. Like, I'm such a big fan. I'm like, what? Like, how did this thing that I started in my bedroom end up bringing me here, right? And he was like, oh, check this out. This is the room where Drake and I made back to back. And here, check, bro. I don't know, I might not put this like in the actual like clip when this goes online, but he was like playing me for all the dogs. And this is like before. He was playing me Daylight. And I'm just like, what? Like, how did I get myself here, right? And that was the moment where I really, really, really realized, like, bro, you need to just like be proud of yourself and like enjoy the little wins. So I made a great like full-time salary doing this too, which is surprising because they tell you like journalism is low paying and like you can't get a good job from that. And My response to that is you have to make your own path. Like you just can't like work for someone and be like, oh, I'm gonna get 100K per year. You know, like it doesn't work like that. But I made a great full-time salary. I've had employees, and what's really cool is I put my employees in position. Like we got Vivek behind the camera there. We got Noah, who I think is handling the guest list somewhere. He, you know, they went on to get other jobs through doing KTO, and it was so special because I don't know, Vivek, if you remember, but like when we all first moved to New York a couple months ago, we sat and we had dinner, and you guys were like, "Bro, you changed my life." And that got me so emotional. You guys are saying like the only reason that we can afford like the rent out here and like have like a job at Audio Mag or, you know, like is because you helped us and employed us for KTO, you know? And through that we learned so much. And yeah, that made me so emotional. Like I couldn't believe, again, this thing that I started from my bedroom ended up bringing me here, bringing them here, right? All of this happened because I just took matters into my own hands, and I didn't give up because some other company wouldn't hire me. You guys shouldn't need it, but this applies to so many other things. You could be an artist, you could be a producer or creative director. Bro, you do not need to rely on anyone else. And I think it's so easy to come up and you're struggling and you're like chasing working with someone, right? Maybe you guys are artists and you want to like really work with, I'm gonna throw out a name. What's a rapper? Summer. Let's say Summer. It's like realist. Yeah. So let's say like you want to work with Summers, right? And you keep DMing him, and you're like, oh, I know I might get the Summers thing. It's like, my advice: don't do that. Maybe even if it's a blog. Let's say it's a blog and you like want to get posted on a blog, right? I get DMs all the time. People be like, bro, like you're sleeping on me, bro. Like why don't you post me? And it won't be once. Like once is cool, but it'll be like over and over and over again. And you know, my honest advice to that is like stop chasing people, because it seriously isn't the way to go. There's a difference between following your dreams and like chasing people, right? So you're probably wondering like, oh, like what do I do then? You have to like, you just have to build leverage. And it sounds so basic, and you know, I've heard other people like Gary Vee and stuff say like, oh, like you have to build value and leverage, and I'm like, yeah, that's what all the gurus say. But it's low-key true. You just have to be so undeniably good at what you do that a lot of these artists and blogs, they will come knocking at your door. Kind of tired of hearing people be like, oh, man, I would have made it, but there's so many gatekeepers, right? This guy's gatekeeping me. And it's like, bro, fuck the gate. Bro, you be the gate. Like, you don't need to go. For real, it's facts. You don't need, right? Trust me, I've been there multiple times, and it doesn't feel good when you're chasing something and you keep doing it and you don't get it. You feel so disappointed, right? Like you start to question, like, oh, am I really good at what I do? Like, why isn't Summers responding to me? I'm a culprit of that too. And I think when I was coming up, I'd always be like, yo, I'm always giving everyone their flowers. Like, I'm posting about new artists. Like, why doesn't anyone give me my flowers, right? Like, why is there a Billboard article about this like A&R who just joined this label, but like I'm building this cool ass thing and no one's writing about me? And that's a bad mentality to have, right? Because while you might think that's right in the moment, I didn't have enough value back then when I was seeing that. You just have to keep working and be undeniably good, and people will write articles about you, man, all that. Like I've seen it. It's no one's job to give you a handout either. I know I mentioned Complex, and like I have no beef with Complex. I think we have people from Complex here watching, like I'm pretty sure. And they weren't supposed to give me a handout, and they did, and that's fine, you know? Like looking back on it, it's like, look how things worked out, you know? Like I'm actually kind of glad that I didn't go that route. And I remember, bro, like I would hit up very specific label people coming up, right? Like big A&Rs and stuff, and trying to get a meeting, trying to get them to answer my DM. I do that thing where like, you follow them, you like their pictures, and like you wait for them to follow you back, you get that rush, and then you're like, oh shit, like it's been like 4 days, you know? And they post on their IG story, you know? And then I unfollow, and then you wait a month, and then you follow them again, and it's like, doesn't work, right? And I'm just being honest, almost every one of those executives and A&Rs have all like spun back and hit me up. I'd say in the last year, I've been like, yo, like, love what you do, bro. Sorry, I missed your above 3 messages. I'd love to like push my artist through you. And just how it works, you know, you can't even be mad at it. Like I, at that time, did not have enough value to them, and now I do. And you can't take it personal, you know, like it's business. Even with interviews, I remember I would chase like specific interviews. The Nav one is one that like I wanted so bad. Like if you guys watch my videos, I wanted to interview Nav so badly. I don't know if it's cause like we're both brown or whatever it is, but that shit would blow up if we did a Nav interview. I remember there was this one time when like I had a lot of connections and I was like, yo, can you guys please all just like text Nav? Like I'm talking about his producer, people that signed, and like it got to the point where like I snuck backstage a little loud and I saw Nav and I was like, bro, like I'm the second brown boy to get a pop in or some cringe shit like that. Like no lie. And like he didn't give a shit, right? But you know, he's like, I've seen you, but yeah, do your thing. It's like, you know what I mean. I realized I'm like, yeah, it would have been nice to interview Nav, but I love to storytell. Like that's my passion. My passion isn't interviewing Nav. You have to just love the actual art form for what it is. You can't chase like, I want to work with this person and this person. Like, bro, if you love what you do, fuck if that person doesn't do your interview, bro. Like you're gonna do interviews regardless, right? I think it's been really cool because in the beginning, when I was doing the interviews, like I would interview anybody just so I can like get in the room, make connections. Like there was a lot of artists I'd interview and I'm like, this guy's not that good, or he's not giving me a great interview. And kind of have to do that in the beginning to like build like a repertoire, you know, connections. But now I think what's so cool is that I'm not worried about the money. And I'm not worried about making connections and just like, I gotta get as many interviews as possible. If you notice, like I don't post like every couple of days. Like I only post interviews that like I wanna do. And like I'm really selective now. We'll get offered to do like bigger artists and things like that. And I'll do it if I fuck with the artist, but a lot of times I just pass on it because I'm like, this is not something I'm interested in, you know? And I think that's the point you wanna get to, is where you can pass on things and be like, this is not what I'm super into, so why would I do it, right? That's like the sweet spot, you know? That's like the best place you want to be in. So I think the ultimate struggle coming up is like, how am I gonna make a living off what I do, right? Like I feel like a lot of you might think that, and so did I, right? I was like, there's no way. For me, I was like, okay, I just want to make 10K per month. That was like for some reason, like everyone thinks that is like, I just need to make 10K per month. I was like, there's no way that I can do this through journalism. And what I noticed is like through time, if you don't worry about the money and you just like do what you do and are undeniably good at it, the money comes. Like it will come in some way that might not even exist when you started. But then like as you kept doing it, you created this like new path for yourself to make money, you know? And Brian, I remember sitting with Cole before our interviews in his house, and I was like, bro, how did you get an office? How did you make money and all these things? And he was like, bro, I wasn't worried about it. I was living dirt cheap in Chicago in this like shitty ass apartment with like 6 homies. And he's like, I wasn't making money. He's like, I didn't make money until like 4 years ago, you know? And think about that, like Cole Bennett did not start making money until years later, right? So yeah, like I said, once you have leverage, the money comes. It sounds like I'm telling you all these like wins I've had, but if you've been watching KTL, you know, I've taken a lot of L's, bro. Like this shit was very, very hard and like stressful at times. Like he pointed out himself, like I wanted to quit at one point, right? I've been like screwed over, I've been canceled on, I've been humiliated. Like the fact that I tolerated all that and I'm still here is like, that's what makes it so special, you know? Not just like getting a J. Cole interview, like bro, who cares? It matters like how many times you get canceled, how many reps did you put in before you got that? That's like a real grind that's special. I probably should have like name dropped, but bro, I have been really like screwed over. Like there was this one time, I would say like a year ago, he's like a street artist from New York, and we're supposed to shoot this interview, right? And the publicist is like, all right, give us a location. So at the time, my brother was staying in downtown Brooklyn, and he had this building with like crazy ass amenities. And I was like, oh, we got this spot. And the doorman was like, all right, I'll let you do it, but you can only bring up, I think it was 4 people. And I let the publicist know that in advance, like, only 4 people, please. Dude shows up with like his whole like squad, bro. It was like 20 guys and like three different Suburbans and all sorts of shit. And I went up to him and I'm like, yo, bro, like I remember what we said, like 4 people max, right? And he's like, man, fuck all that, like 4 people max, like what are you talking about? If it's 4 people max and they can't come, I'm not doing your interview. And that shit was like really stressful to me, you know, because it's happening all in front of my brother's door, man. And I'm just like, I was like, it's cool, I know. And then I turned around and he's like, nah, I'm not doing it, right? And craziest part though, this is the craziest part. I was like, you know what, nah, I'm gonna keep my dignity. I'm like, all right, let's not do this interview. And then he was like, oh no. He's like, we're not doing the interview? All right, walk with me to the ATM. Let's pull out some cash for my gas money. I'm like, your gas money? You're a rapper, bro. Like, what do you need gas money for? And you know, it was getting serious. He was like threatening me and all these things, and that's just one example. That's just one example. I'll tell you guys another time. I was in LA. I know my team remembers this. And there's, again, it was another street artist. His music's so good though. I really wanted to interview him, and I pull up to the interview shoot, and it's the most awkward thing, bro. It's a studio from the size of like that wall to like dude in the yellow tie. And we're doing the interview. This guy's just like puffing like fat clouds on my face. Like I'm just like watching it as like I ask him questions. And you know, he's giving me the worst answers ever. And I mean the worst. Like he's like, I don't know. Over and over again. I'm looking at his managers and they're like laughing, and I'm like, the fuck? Like, right, you guys asked me to do this interview. Like, why is this going on? And I kept asking questions, and I was like, damn, he's not answering. Let me ask something that like everyone would want to respond to. I was like, what's your favorite superhero movie, right? And he's like, what? He's like, you calling me like a little kid or something? Like, bro, like, you think I'm childish? I'm like, no, bro, I'm just genuinely wondering, like, do you like Spider-Man, right? And bro, like, he got mad, bro. He was treating me so bad in that interview, bro, no lie. And it was like the most awkward thing ever. The interview ends, and you know, I had my KTO hoodies that I was selling at the time, which by the way, you can buy upstairs if you'd like. Yeah, so I gave him a hoodie. I was like, hey, bro, like, appreciate your time. I'm trying to be professional, right? Appreciate your time. Here's this hoodie. He grabs it. He's like, yeah, cool. Throws it on the floor, bro. And like, that's, again, I'm just telling you like certain scenarios where like this will happen to you, and it really matters. Like, is that the moment you're gonna be like, fuck this, man. Like, people are treating me like shit. I'm done with this. Or you can like really like have a, you know, more like positive mindset and be like, this happened, cool, move on to the next one, it'll be better. And that's what I did, and that's what makes it so special, and that's what builds character, you know, that's what really builds character. I don't want to keep telling you all these stories about rappers that did me wrong, but there was this one time with K-Flock, I'm not gonna lie, bro. You know, maybe let's not even get into the K-Flock story, but yeah, like I've been through it, and that's what makes it so special, right? But point being, with all of this that happened, you know, the W's, like, none of it comes if you rely on someone else and if you don't build leverage, right? That's the two things I always go back on, is do it yourself, don't depend on anyone else, and build leverage. So for all you guys that are in the audience, if you could walk away with two things, it would be those two things, right? And think next time, like, if you DM a blog and they're not posting you, don't take it the wrong way, right? It's not personal. Be so good, and I promise you, they'll spin back. They're gonna hit you up. They're gonna post you for free. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen right in front of my eyes. But yeah, as we conclude that, I want to segue into this Q&A. You know, I want to talk to you guys in the crowd and answer any questions you guys might have. And Ahmad, you got a mic? What's up, bro? What's your name?
How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. What's your name?
Benson Will. My name is Benson Will. Nice to meet you. Big fan.
Thank you.
First question I have is, how do you deal? I see your interview with Diddy Osama. How do you deal with, you know, underage rappers and stuff, like people that's underage? How do you, like, you know, they can't smoke on camera, they can't say certain things. So how do you deal with like rappers that are like under 18 years old?
No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I mean, well, to be honest, I don't want them to smoke in the interviews because then I don't get any ad revenue off that in the first place. So that's like, I don't want that. But I think what you're trying to say is like people that clarify your question a little. Like, say what you mean. Yeah.
Clarifying my question, and it sounded too crazy, sorry. So what I did mean is they're not allowed to, you know, curse because they're a certain age. How do you like directify the question so it could be like more positive? You know, there'd be drill rappers.
For sure. I get that now. I get that. Honestly, I think that I don't even like talking about like beefs and stuff. Like, I don't want to like throw shade. Like, there's a lot of bloggers that talk a lot about beef and things like that. And it really, I'm not gonna lie, if you want views, bro, that's the thing to do. Like, you're gonna blow the fuck up by doing that. I've seen it happen with No Jumper and academics and like a bunch of pages, right? But in the long run, I promise you, that's not like, you're not proud of asking people that anyways. Like, why do I care if Didi Osama has beef with this artist? You know, like, I don't even care. So I don't ask them about that. I just want to inspire people through the interviews, and I feel like talking about beef will never do that. It'll inspire someone to go like shoot someone. So like, what's the point, right? But yeah, I guess if that answers your question. Got a notebook?
Yeah, I gotta write down my question.
Oh, of course.
Alright, just wanted to ask you real quick, on your upward journey, what creative advantages and resources for networking expansion have you seen in your journey that you didn't have before, you know, just on your way?
You're saying what resources do I have now?
Yeah, like, just to clarify, on your way up, what are the moments in which you would go, I was doing it this way when I could have been doing it this way the whole time? Like, how did that look for you?
I think part of it is what I said at the talk is like, I was that annoying person that would like always hit people up, right? And try to like force them to work with me, you know, which it's not cool looking back on it because like no one wants to work with you if you're like pushing it on, you know what I mean? So there's definitely that. And I realized like being in person, like, yes, I agree. If you post an IG reel, you'll reach like 1 million people potentially, right? But it's also cool to just go to like an event with like 50 people there, and maybe you meet like 4 people that follow you, but those 4 people will like turn into like fucking executives. I've seen it happen, you know? And it might not compute in the beginning because it's like, oh no, let me like just like post online and people will follow me. But the word of mouth is what really, bro, because I'd be in person, flying to LA, flying to New York on events, and people would tell each other, and they'd be like, yo, you should meet my homie, Arshan. And then they connect with the label person, and that's the word of mouth really, really help. Thanks, appreciate it. Yeah.
What's up in LA? My name is Will, but I go by the Kid Modest. Big fan, I really love what you're doing. I want to know, how do you find balance? Like, even starting out even now with so many, you know, opportunities to network with people, like you said, how do you balance like really putting the best foot forward for yourself and for what you're doing?
Yeah, I think like in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, you don't balance it. Kind of do have to like be a little crazy and just like not sleep, you know, or like skip out an event with dinner or something. Like you kind of have to do that, I'm not gonna lie. But I would say like as you get bigger and start making money, then you really, really, really have to be like, you know what? If this video is due tomorrow, but like I don't feel like working on this, I'm not working on it. It doesn't matter what it is, because if you keep crossing those boundaries in your mind, like you're just gonna get used to it and you're not gonna make any time for yourself. And the thing is like, why would you only want to work like 24 hours of the day? Like you don't eventually want to do that. You want to be in a space where like you can work whenever you want and you'll make money and that's it, right? So I would say like, yeah, like take time to like go on walks or like, you know, like I'm for real, like if you have something due, like it doesn't matter, bro. Go on a walk or go get a sandwich or something, you know, like just do like little things that make you happy. Appreciate your question.
Hi, my name is Eli. I run an account called Diabolical This, just saying some promo. One thing I love from your account is your aesthetic. I just would love to know like how like what was the inspiration and like do you have like any design tips?
Yeah, that's a really good question. You know, like the story I told you about like how I was trying to work at Complex and I was hustling through the internet, right? And I was like, all these kids are hustling through the internet. That's how they're getting these opportunities. The aesthetic really comes from the fact that if you're hustling through the internet, I'm like, why don't I make everything like a desktop? You know, like if you open an interview, you go to the Tizo Touchdown interview, it pops up into like this computer desktop, and then you see like folders, right? And those folders have to do with the interview, right? It'll be like, I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but it'll be like Drake vocals, you know? You don't just do it to make things look nice. Like, if you do that, you fail, in my opinion. You have to have a meaning behind the design. The design choices have meaning behind them, right? Even like, I mean, I don't think the design was like incredible for what I did here, but it's still pretty good. It's all internet themed, bro. Like the 8-bit tags, like if you look at the event schedule, you'll notice like an 8-bit like Statue of Liberty. Like, yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like there's like meaning behind it. So that would be my design tip, is like whatever look you want to have, make sure like what's the story behind this, right? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Yohar. I'm an artist, and I see that like the consistency you're talking about. At first, you're continuously putting out stuff, and so what's the best tip you have on consistently putting out quality work and on a regular basis?
When I was doing the convos with Arshan, I would post that once a week. It was my goal. Every Saturday I have to do this. And if you just set like realistic mini goals, that's the best way to do it. Whereas if you're like, okay, I'm gonna post 3 times a day, it's just like, that's unrealistic. You know, choose something that actually like makes sense for you to do, and you'll like slowly progress more over time. Let's just say you made it a goal for 1 month. I'm gonna post every Saturday, right? Once you do that, it'll motivate you so much more that next month you'll be like, all right, I'm gonna post 2 times a week, right? And once you get in that habit, like, bro, you're gonna kill it. Like, that's how I see it.
What's going on, Sean? Big fan. I go by DJ now over media platforms at the. The question I have for you is KTO looking to sign an artist anytime soon? Question mark. Sorry, what? Is KTO looking to sign an artist anytime soon?
Oh, like KTO Records situation? No, I'm gonna be honest. As you come up as a media blog, like a lot of labels and A&Rs will come to you, be like, hey, let's do a joint venture, right? Like you're finding all this talent and you're posting them, like, oh, why don't we just sign them with you? And financially, yes, it does make sense to do that. But I'm a big believer in like, don't do things unless your heart isn't, right? Like there's nothing wrong with having a label at all, right? I have friends who do that, but I care more about like storytelling and making videos. And if I were to sign an artist, like I would just feel like I'm tied to this one person and like responsible for their career, which I don't want to do. Like there's other ways that I could help artists, you know? So yeah, I don't think I'm ever gonna start a record label, but it makes sense financially. But I think that's all we can do for Q&A, but let's get to the listening to your music portion.